In the 90s, Playmates Toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys, a little show on the internet where Mike and I mostly discuss Playmates 4.5-inch action figures, but today we have another one in our wildly popular series, our custom figures from you all over the country, all over the world. We have amazing figures that you're sending to me at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of these has a story. Every one of these has a whole history to them, and I'm very excited to talk about them. Mike, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Always love a customs episode. You know, it's my jam. It's my fave. No offense to your toys, Keith, but I prefer other people's toys, it turns out. And
I get that a lot.
So let me ask you, Keith, as
Yes.
I do my best. It's not always possible to avoid the spoilers whilst I'm setting up the OBS. But do we get to meet some new artists today?
We do. We're going to start with a new artist, which is very exciting, who reached out to us. Where did they reach out? I already said, look at my Star Trek Toys at gmail.com. You send it, I see it. So we're going to start with that. And but before we do, we're going to do our little annoying commercial. And that is, we want to introduce you to our Patreon. We are now doing all sorts of fun extra stuff for our patrons on our Patreon. You can find it at patreon.com/K&M. What kind of stuff can they look forward to if they support us, Mike?
Well, currently, we give you access to our DMs. You can slide up into those DMs. And also, we do some AMAs. We posted an AMA this month. Also, this month has a bonus content for some of our patrons. You get to watch Keith and I watch an episode of The Next Generation, which was really cool, and it sort of was a precursor to the Deep Space Nine. And also, speaking of the Deep Space Nine, do you want to watch with me? I mean, like, actually watch it in a 4:3 aspect ratio on a little TV as I watch it in real time? Well, you can find the ability to do that inside of our Patreon as well. And, we're going to have other goodies. We're still discussing maybe some goodies we can do that are in the Look at My Star Trek Toys universe. We haven't quite figured that out yet, but if you have any ideas, throw them our way.
Yes. So, check it out. Join us. And, Mike, do you have the slide of our current patrons?
Working on it.
He's working on it really well. But what I'll do is I'll tell you those, whether or not you join the Patreon, you can support us greatly by liking and subscribing down here on the YouTube, and that really also helps us a great deal. So our current patrons include Alan Zimmerman, Jorge Navoa, Cloudlover69, and Brian Kaufman, with hopefully more to come. All right, well, thank you for listening to our commercial section. But look, it's a lot of work putting these shows together. I was talking last night about shooting these figures and doing all these graphics. It takes time, and it's super fun, and it's super worth it, mainly just to have the conversation with you, but certainly it's much appreciated supporting the show. All right, well, with no further ado, I think we should start looking at these amazing custom figures. What do you say, Mike?
What's up first, Keith? Tell us.
Well, what's up first is a figure by a new artist, Colin Degen. Let's take a look at Lieutenant Arex from the Star Trek animated series. It's another great figure from the animated series, which, honestly, I have to admit is a bit of a hole in my Star Trek lore. I'm going to have to start watching the animated series.
Animated series as in, like, from the 60s show?
From the 70s, yes.
Okay.
From the in the 70s, they put out a animated series between the original series of Star Trek and when they restarted the movie series.
Cool.
So this is Lieutenant Arex, who replaced Chekhov in canon for the last 2 years of the 5-year mission of the original Enterprise. And what's really cool about Arex is 3 legs, 3 arms. And that is a remarkably difficult custom to make. And look how cool that is. Let's talk.
Very cool.
So here's what Colin had to say about how we did it. So it's Lieutenant Arex from the Star Trek animated series from the 1970s. I used a Species 8472 head, which I shaped into Arex's head using a squeeze lighter, then painting over with orange paint. Did it with fire. Let me tell you, if you're going to do something the fun way.
What's a squeeze lighter?
I think it's like a Bic lighter, I'm assuming. But I may be wrong. But anyway, I'm assuming it involves fire, which means it's cool. So he also used the legs, as I try not to sneeze.
A squeeze lighter, Keith, is like one of those lighters you use to like light the grill.
Right, like the long stick ones. All right, same deal.
Yeah.
Also used the legs from Species 847. The legs from Species 847-2, which I broke and reattached to more closely match a 5-inch figure. The torso is from a Sulu action figure, which I then drilled a hole into so I could attach a 3rd Sulu arm in the center of the chest. This took me a month to make, and I used to make and sell a lot of custom Playmates action figures on eBay from 2013 to 2021. More than 100. He sold more than 100 of these things, of other custom figures. So hopefully there will be more coming from Colin. Mike, what do you think of this figure?
Well, first of all, we all know that everyone knows Sulu's famous for his 3rd arm, and it's highlighted here. We get to see it in action.
You know, just a couple last night, in terms of our JD memed me unintentionally saying something wildly dirty, and there we are. Mike's talking about Sulu's 3rd arm. If you know
not
what
unintentional, however. That's the difference there. Yeah, this is super cool. It could, though the 3rd leg is very impressive there. The 3rd arm is kind of more impressive to me, just because not impressive, is more cool in its coolness, because you can now be functional while also having a shooty shoot, and I think that is what I'm finding the most rad.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting character design, and obviously, when you do an animated series, you're able to do designs like this in the 70s, and it doesn't cost any more to animate a 3rd and 4th arm, but that would have been completely impossible to do practically in the 1960s. So really cool how they, switching to an animated series, obviously you're losing a lot, but you have opportunities there. Mm-hmm. And that's really fun. So the last fun piece about Lieutenant Arex, Mike, is can you guess who voiced Lieutenant Arex?
I mean, I can't, but I'm going to. Well, first of all, it looks like he's playing a lute. I wish we could see the lute.
I believe it's some sort of a lute.
Space
thing.
lute.
Space lute. Yes, of course. It's always I think it's a Vulcan.
Well, so I know that I love that Mark Hamill does a lot of voiceover work, so that would be a good guess. Mm-hmm. But also, I'm going to guess. Oh, I'm forgetting his name, but he did Optimus, and he did a ton of voiceover in the 60s and 70s as well. Into the 80s.
Orson Welles?
No, that was Unicron. Oh shit! Damn it! Hold on, I'm googling.
All right. You do that. Well, while you Google who that was, it's a good guess, but it's wrong. But it is a Star Trek connection. I mean, it's a double Star Trek connection. It's voiced by James Doohan, who plays Scotty.
So Peter Cullen is who I was thinking of.
Yes. No, but Mark Hamill would have been like 14 when this happened. But yes, it was anyway. So this character is voiced by James Doohan, who did a ton of voice work. Also invented Klingon. So there you go. Great costume, fascinating character. I'm gonna have to get into the animated series. I'm just gonna have to do
Keith,
it.
I think that would be maybe for our patrons here, maybe our first watch along in this universe, we can watch an animated series app together. Maybe the pilot we'll watch together.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or we could IMDb which is the best one and jump in there.
I think if we're going to do it, we got to start at the pilot, I think. Start at the beginning. I like it. All right. Well, let us move forward into a next figure. Now, this next figure is definitely in my top 5 figures that I wish Playmates would make. It is one of my all-time favorite characters of all time. Obviously, it's one of my all-time favorite characters of all time.
Say it twice, Keith.
That's really nice. That's really helpful. And that is a spoiler for Deep Space Nine. But I'm going to tell you almost nothing about the character. But it is Weyoun from Deep Space Nine, done by our good friend Matt Radowski. And so here is a little bit about how this figure was made. It's made from a Captain Calhoun head. I don't know if we've done Captain Calhoun yet on the show. The figure.
Think we have.
It is the only Playmates figure to be non-canon. It's a Playmates figure based on Captain Calhoun, who's a character in, I think, the novels. And they made a limited edition version of the figure. Definitely a fun one for customizers because he's wearing one of the black First Contact era uniforms. So those are useful. So we used a Captain Calhoun head and a Professor Data body, which is very interesting because we're about to do an episode that includes the Professor Data figure.
All right.
So stay tuned. Next week, you're going to see the figure that this was based on. Anyway, Weyoun is, I think, one of the top 2 or 3 characters on all of Deep Space Nine. Of course, played by the legendary Jeffrey Combs, who plays many characters on Star Trek, as well as many other characters in the real world, the Reanimator and such. So, really cool figure, and a difficult figure to make because you have to do, again, custom sculpting to get sort of the ears done, and a remarkable paint job. And if you look at the screenshot there, the coat is so accurate.
That's so cool. Like we often marvel at the head sculpting or the 3D printing or the matte painting. Lots of things we always love to call out. But what we don't often get to call out is custom work on the costuming. Clearly, this is a custom coat. The paint job on the coat is incredible. Even the pants have a really cool paint job. Like, really great job on the custom costuming there. And then even the shirt underneath, it looks like he's detailed that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And looking at the Professor Data figure, which I'm not going to show you till next episode, the wrap coat, the coat does not wrap like it does on the figure here. So that has to be all custom sculpted and then cutting down, and very good screen accurate representation of Weyoun. Oh, such a good character, Mike.
Can't wait.
If you don't know this already, Mike and I are doing a Deep Space Nine watch-along review show you can find here on K&M Entertainment. And so we're about to do the episode on Run Along Home, so that's going to be fun. So we're a ways from Weyoun, but Mike, you have so much to look forward to. I'm very excited about that. So anyway, so that's Matt Radowski, who we've seen a lot of his work before. Very happy to continue. Matt, keep sending your stuff. So next up, we have another Deep Space Nine spoiler. So I can't really talk about it too much around Mike, but we are going to do 2 characters from the famous 2-parter episode of Deep Space Nine, Past Tense, from our good friend and buddy JD Ealain. Let's take a look at the first one, and this is Sisko from Past Tense. Again, I have no idea how we did this. So JD did not put a great deal of information on how we did this. I'm hoping he's going to do an episode on the creation of these on JD's customs and stuff, his own YouTube series, which we will link to below. Definitely go check it out. But look at the sculpt and detail on this figure. Now, Mike, are you probably going to ask me, hey, why is he wearing weird civilian clothes? Yeah. And I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you, Mike. Why don't you just tell me what? You know what? This will be fun, Mike. tell us why you imagine he's wearing these clothes.
Okay, well, Keith, the first time we meet Captain Benjamin Sisko, it's him sitting on the dock fishing with Jake and basically being like, yo, we got to move. So maybe something happens from where they're from, back on Earth, I believe, and he's got to go back to, much like Picard opened, where we kind of see him replicating his French chateau, or on his, and so they got to go back home, spend a little time fishing and hunting, and cleaning up the homestead, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. So like an episode about gardening, a 2-part episode about like mowing.
Well, yeah, mowing down bad guys.
Yeah. Well, boy. So JD, you know what? I have a feeling that I bet we can get JD to answer some of these questions in the comments below. Were those sculpts? Were those like all of the fabric there? Did you? How did you do that? Because I know you do a lot of work with molds, but is that molds that you built that out of? Is that sculpted? I'm so curious. What was it? What was the figure based on originally? The collar. Wow. The more I look at it, the more impressed I get.
Yeah, it's real cool. It's real cool.
And so here's the thing, folks. If you would like a video of your figure rotating in the classic "Look at my Star Trek toys" manner, you know what? You can shoot it yourself and send it, and we will just put it on here. Put it right away, because I know JD got his own turntable, which is very similar to the one that I have, which I was looking for but I can't find. So here it is. Yeah, very simple turntable. I think it was like $20 on Amazon. Easy peasy. So anyway, very cool. Let's look at the next one from this series. Let's look at Bashir from Past Tense. Again, same thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
How did he do it? I don't know how he did it. Did you modify
that? I mean, that
using a lighter or whatever?
That's so cool.
It's a super cool costume, and and what you see here, especially in this episode,
look how badass Bashir looks too.
It looks super badass. I mean, is that a coat from? Is that an adaptation of a coat from a series? Because there's a couple of them that have coats. Not any that look exactly like that. But I think what makes these particular figures so difficult to replicate, and why is really cool, is that it's layers. There's so many layers in these. I mean, everything is custom painted to match the screen, obviously there. But you have a vest on top of a sweater, on top of a shirt, and there's underneath a coat. It's really quite remarkable. And actually, if you go to the next slide, we can see the two of them together in a little bit higher resolution. Look at that.
Wow.
I'm blown away, dude. That is really, really cool.
I have to say, and maybe it's just the design of the characters. So it's not a judgment on JD's work. I'm partial to the Bashir here, and it's cool. It looks like he gets. I mean, I don't know the episode. I don't know any of the context, but just by the design and by the figures here, it seems to me like maybe Bashir gets to play a little bit of a different character here, and he's not just the super kind of goofy goof that we've seen thus far.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, the character of Bashir is going to develop quite a bit. So the young, stupid, horny guy that you know in season 1 will not still be that same guy.
He'll be a slightly older, horny guy?
Will be a slightly older, horny guy by season 7 for sure. But this 2-parter episode here, which I can't talk about it because I can't give away spoilers. But there is definitely there are some current day parallels to that episode. Okay. So anyway, what a cool set of figures there. That's fantastic work, JD. JD, do an episode of your own show about these figures, and we will link to it from this episode. Because I'm sure everybody watching this would love to see that.
Okay, do you want us? Do you need us? Do you need our little stupid heads here to talk about it? Probably
That's true.
not. But we'll do it.
We will. Yeah, I can't believe we haven't done a crossover yet. I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity. All right. Well, let us move forward to another just freaking remarkable couple of figures, which are, and this maybe is my favorite thing that has happened since we started this show, Mike. And that is two of the artists we have featured on the show who are old friends of ours. Collaborated on this next
We're taking credit. We're taking credit.
Oh my God. We're like Tinder for Star Trek figures. No, it's so cool. So
we're keeping that tagline.
Hey, look, like collaborating on figures are great, but I don't know, the little dating service, that'd be great. These people have no interest in each other. All right, so let us go and check out Lieutenant Torres from Encounter at Farpoint. Now,
we've talked about this episode quite a bit, Keith.
Well, it's the pilot of the Next Generation. It's a big old deal. So you think Lieutenant Torres? I mean, you mean B'Elanna Torres from Voyager? Nuh-uh. I mean Lieutenant Torres, who is only in Encounter at Farpoint. He's a glorified extra, and yet something extra happens to him in Encounter at Farpoint, which is represented in the next figure and, well, kind of really the next two figures. So what we're seeing here from George Alexandris, our good buddy, he says, "Hi guys, I've attached my custom Lieutenant Torres figure. He was a character that Q froze on the bridge of the Enterprise of the episode Encounter Farpoint." So we can see sort of the work in progress here. He's pulled apart a Data figure to replace some of the pieces. And here's the fun part. You see that head?
Yeah.
That head is a custom 3D printed from Chris.
It is.
From Retro Star Trek Customs. So we have George Alexandris and Chris from Retro Star Trek Customs, our CRM Customs now, are working together to create this figure, which is so freaking cool. So we painted the head, and the body is a Data figure. I repositioned the hands as well as trimming them by the wrist to try to shorten them a little. And as always, a complete repaint. So there is the figure put together. It's seamless. It's flawless. How cool is that?
So cool. That's just...
Yeah, so if you go back,
the starter. We're deconstructing,
and you can actually, and I actually love this for a couple of reasons. One, because I've never taken the figure all the way apart before to really see what the pieces are. And that's really, really cool.
So that's bye-bye Data's head, bye-bye Data's arms.
Right. And if you actually go back one, because you can see in the picture on the upper right-hand side where he cuts in the seam for the zipper for the original uniforms there. So that's how he's able to get it. He literally cuts a seam into it.
Then that awesome paint job, which is just incredible.
Yeah, the matte paint makes a big difference, kids. There was a comment on one of the other videos talking about, like, they just wish Playmates had done a matte paint. But then again, so there's the head from Chris. And
look at that change too. Like look at the head, and then look at how you can. Now it's a good 3D print, but you wouldn't really pick that out of a lineup. But once you add a really detailed artistic paint job, bing,
boom. There it is, and it looks just like him. It's really, really cool. So and you think, wow, what a great place, what a great thing to have, what a great place to stop. And now you've got the whole bridge. Oh wait, Mike, I think I mentioned something happened to this guy.
They got Mr. Freezed.
They got frozen. So could we freeze him? Hell yeah, we can freeze him. So here's the crazy.
Wait,
yeah, go ahead.
Separate? Did they make two and one's frozen, one's not, or they just we're like, here's Torres, but now we're freezing it?
So I purchased 2 copies of the Torres head from Chris, fully painted them, painted to Data's body, then airbrushed them into the frozen state. He changed the hand to add a phaser because he had one when Q froze him. So he made 2 of them and did the frozen variant.
Yeah.
And there they are together.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Slow clap. Slow
awesome.
clap. I mean,
what a collab. We want more collabs.
Yes. It's really, really cool. I mean, I love seeing people working together and creating this amazing stuff. Yeah, so George, this completes his bridge crew from the encounter at Farpoint. So, because we showed the season 1 encounter at Farpoint, the rest of the bridge crew that he had, but this one is just what a fun way to sort of finish it.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
And you've got the frozen flakes there. I mean, because if you look at the screenshot, and that must have been a rough day at the office.
Yeah, he got cotton candied.
He got cotton candied. But then to have that so well represented on that, I mean, George, I know you keep saying that you just do this for fun and you're not a professional and blah blah blah, but you could sell these, bud. You could sell you could absolutely churn these things out and make a pretty penny.
You had Keith at 2 copies.
Yeah, it's like, wait, so you're saying more than one of these can be made? No, but I genuinely think that people would be really psyched to buy these.
You know who would be really psyched, to be fair? I kind of imagine that in the whole Trekiverse, and thinking of all those characters, just the myriad of actors who played a lot of the parts on your wish list, Keith, who never got a licensed figure. Yeah. I bet this actor would probably be pretty jazzed to know that, all that long day in the makeup chair, that one appearance when I got frozen out, that somebody immortalized it would probably be pretty psyched about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's played by Jimmy Ortega. Jimmy, buddy, if you're out there, I feel like, this might be a good commission.
Yeah.
Because wouldn't you want this on your shelf? I mean, I certainly would. Yeah. I certainly would. So, very, very cool stuff. I love these episodes. They're so much fun.
The best.
Keep sending your customs to lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram just at Star Trek Toys. So, Mike, if you had now that you've seen a little bit of Star Trek, are there any customs that you wish people would make?
Yeah, I got one. I got one. Yes. Keith, what I would like to see is a Jadzia Dax figure, but there's a little compartment, and you can insert and remove her Trill symbiote.
Ooh. Oh, I like that.
That's what that's putting it into the universe.
That's a great idea.
But in a way that is not like weird and gross.
Yes. Don't make it dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that look, they have little compartments for Data. The back opens up and you see that. Yeah,
listen,
why didn't
and if you would like to help me afford that commission, you can do so.
That's a professional segue there. That was a professional segue.
By joining our Patreon, patreon.com/K, and we'd appreciate it. We're not going to belabor the point. We'd appreciate any support you can give. Hey, if not, you just click that like button. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. We got good free stuff coming all the time.
And while you're there, you're here. You're a Star Trek fan. You might as well at least try watching our Keith and Mike watch Deep Space Nine review show. I think I enjoy it. I feel if you like this, you'll probably like that. I mean, it's about Deep Space Nine. Come on, it's super fun. So anyway, thank you so much for walking.
Hey, thank you for walking over to your computer, clicking on YouTube, and checking us out.
Yep. Yeah, way to save me. I appreciate it. We'll see you back here next week. Till then, this has been... Look at my Star Trek toys!